Ever feel like your podcast is getting lost in the noise? Well, you're not alone. There are millions of podcasts out there, and if you want yours to be noticed, you've got to brand it the right way. So today we are breaking down what makes a podcast brand strong and memorable, and most importantly, profitable. Welcome to Legit Podcast Pro, where we help you navigate the legal and business side of podcasting so you can build a show that lasts. I'm Gordon Firemark, the podcast lawyer, and today we're talking about podcast branding, what it is, why it matters, and how to do it right. And stick around because I've got a secret video for you that's going to dive even deeper into leveling up your podcast success. All right, let's get into our topic. What is podcast branding in the first place? Well, branding is more than just your podcast name, title, or logo. It's the entire experience you create for your audience. Your brand is what makes your show distinct, recognizable, and valuable. Think about your show's title and tagline, your artwork and visual identity, your podcast voice, tone, and personality, music and sound design, the way you market and present your show. Really, everything you do should reinforce what your podcast is about and why it matters to your listeners. Some common branding mistakes that a lot of podcasters get wrong. Being too generic. If your podcast name and branding don't stand out, people won't remember it. Or inconsistent messaging. If your artwork says serious business show, but your tone is casual and comedic, well, then there's a disconnect. Ignoring audience perception. Your brand isn't just what you think it is, it's what your audience experiences. Skipping the legal side is another fallback. If you don't secure your name and brand assets, you could run into trademark issues down the road. Now, how do you create a strong podcast brand? Well, first, start with a clear identity. Ask yourself, who is the target audience? What problem am I solving for them? What emotions do I want my brand to evoke? And then choose the right name and tagline. Your podcast should be easy to remember, easy to spell and say, and type for a URL, and unique enough to stand out. A strong tagline helps clarify what your show is about in just a few words. But here's where the legal side comes in. Your podcast title should also be distinctive enough to qualify for trademark protection. If the name is too generic or merely descriptive, it won't be eligible to be registered, and that means you won't have exclusive rights to that name. Other people could come in and start using similar titles and confuse the marketplace. Same goes for distinctive segment titles and logos, or even signature audio elements like stingers and intro music. If you use them and they're yours and distinctive, you want to protect them. Now, before you commit to a name, run a comprehensive search to make sure it's available and that it won't infringe on existing trademarks. A trademark search includes, of course, checking the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office database. That's at uspto.gov, and click around and find the search function. You also need to check domain name availability, social media handles, any websites out there with similar things. And if your name is too close to an existing brand, you could face legal challenges later on. I also recommend checking in with the Amazon marketplace and bookstores just to make sure that there are no books with similar titles. Again, you don't want to be in a spitting match with the author of a book years later. So just get this thing taken care of at this stage. Next up, design eye-catching podcast artwork. Your artwork is the first thing that potential listeners are going to see. Make sure it stands out in podcast directories. Make sure it's clear, even when it's a small thumbnail, and that it represents your brand visually. Since your artwork is an original creative work, it is automatically protected under copyright law. That means others can't legally copy or use it without your permission. But to strengthen that protection, consider formally registering your copyright with the U.S. Copyright Office. Next, develop a signature sound. Your theme music, intro, and outro all contribute to your brand identity. Consider using the same music in every episode for consistency. Consider having a unique intro line that listeners associate with your show. Keeping a consistent energy and tone in your delivery is also important. And if you create original music or sound elements, copyright protection again applies automatically, but registering them does give you stronger enforcement rights. If you're using third-party music, make sure you have the appropriate licenses and in place so you can avoid copyright infringement. Now, number 5, craft a consistent tone and personality. Are you formal and professional, or casual and funny, educational, inspirational? Your style should match your content and your audience. Next, protect your brand legally. Trademark that podcast title if you plan to build a business around it. Secure the social media handles that match up with your title and the domains for websites so you can avoid any confusion. Use a podcast guest release form to protect your content. You can get mine at podcastrelease.com. It's free, lawyer drafted, and it will definitely protect you. Register your copyrights for all the original elements like your artwork, music, and episode scripts, and check for conflicts before finalizing your branding to avoid infringement. Create a cohesive marketing strategy. Your branding should carry over into your website, your social media presence, your descriptions and show notes, your promotional graphics and content. And branding will help you monetize because it makes it easier to attract sponsors, listeners, and business opportunities. When the brand is clear and consistent, listeners trust and recognize you, advertisers see value in that brand alignment, and you can charge more for sponsorships and partnerships. So here are a couple of final thoughts and next steps. Branding is what turns a podcast from just another show into a recognizable and profitable platform. If you take the time to build a strong brand and to protect it legally, you'll set yourself up for long-term success. If you're interested in a deeper dive, I cover all of this in much greater depth inside my Easy Legal for Podcasters program. And don't forget, check out the secret Level Up Your Podcast Success video at gordonfiremark.com/level up. Well, that's it for today. If you found this helpful, I want you to subscribe, leave a review, and let me know what branding struggle you might be facing in the comments. And I'll see you next time on Legit Podcast Pro. Thanks.